What's going on, everyone? It is no secret that Kevin Durant wants to be traded from the Brooklyn Nets, but the issue is the well for Kevin Durant trade is really drying up fast. There's not many options left. The Phoenix Suns, they were like the leader at one point. It looked like all signs point to the Suns getting Kevin Durant. And then the Indiana Pacers got tired of waiting and gave an offer to DeAndre Ayton, and that kind of threw a wrench into everything. Now, they can't do the trade till at least January, and Kevin Durant, they don't even know if he's going to show up into training camp. So very likely between now and training camp, they're going to try to get a deal done. The problem is it's very limited. And there are a lot of questions about Kevin Durant and would he want to go to any of the teams that are willing to put up the assets to acquire him? Well, based on reports, Kevin Durant is willing to go to the Boston Celtics or the 76ers. Based on new reports, those are the two teams that he's more willing to go to that can currently trade for him. Here's the thing. Boston and Philly are like the only two teams that are left to be able to trade for him. Yes, the Miami Heat, they would do whatever they could to get him. Problem is, the Nets aren't going to want anything that Miami has. The Pelicans, I don't think the Pelicans are going to go all in. And Brandon Ingram doesn't seem to be moving the needle. The Raptors, they don't want to trade Scotty Barnes. And then at that point, you're trading Siakam and OG. And it's like, are you a contender with Scotty Barnes and Kevin Durant? I don't think so. So basically, it comes down to the Sixers or the Boston Celtics. But the reason that this is good is primarily because the Boston Celtics have the best trade package. And there were a lot of questions of, would Kevin Durant be willing to go to Boston after the Kyrie thing, right? But here's the thing. Back in like 2017, I believe off the top of my head, Kevin Durant was supposed to go to Boston. Like they had a meeting, it looked like he was going there, and then he ended up going elsewhere. So that is a big thing to keep in mind as well. Now, obviously the 76ers, if they could get Kevin Durant, they would be more than happy. I mean, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Kevin Durant would be the best big three in the league, hands down. They'd be one of the best big threes ever. They'd fit so beautifully and so naturally. I mean, this big three would be better than I think the Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden big three. Problem is, what is Philly giving up? You know, maybe some, Thibault, Maxey, Tobias Harris, and then a couple, like here, pick between these 3 or 4 players, whatever you want. And then here's like 3 or 4 first round picks. Like, if that was like the only option on the table, okay. Or maybe if the Nets were rebuilding, okay, I could see something like that. But it doesn't move the needle in the way that the Boston Celtics trade does. I think Jaylen Brown by himself with picks is probably better than what Philly could give up because at least Jaylen Brown is proven over a large sample size. Maxey was fantastic for the Sixers, but is he going to hit that, sophomore, junior wall that we see many players hit where, they have a fantastic year and then boom, they sort of regress a little bit. Not just that, but the lack of experience. Is he more than just like that one-dimensional guy? There's a lot of questions with him. And I know Sixers fans think that Maxey is the, second coming of Jordan and stuff, just based on comments that I've seen when talking about the Sixers. But in reality, he's unproven. We don't know what is going to happen with Maxey and how good he's going to be. I mean, we have seen rookies and players have historic seasons in general, and shortly after that are out of the league. I mean, look at guys like Tyreke Evans. Tyreke Evans had one of the greatest rookie seasons in NBA history. He's one of like 3 rookies ever to average like 25 and 5. And he's not even playing anymore. You never know what's going to happen. And players have these incredible runs and then it dies down. Now, obviously, if the Sixers could get Kevin Durant, especially Daryl Morey. He's a guy that doesn't care about young players. He doesn't care about the draft picks. He wants the proven guys. He wants the guys that can win him now. He'll worry about the team 4 years from now when Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Joel Embiid are all off the team. Like, he'll worry about it then. Right now, he's looking at it as like, if I can get Kevin Durant, I'm going to get Kevin Durant, just like James Harden. I just don't think the Brooklyn Nets are going to want to take Philly's package over some of the other packages. I mean, you could even argue the Pelicans could give up more than that. And the Raptors, like if you get Siakam, OG, and maybe like a Gary Trent, like that is better than what the Philadelphia 76ers could offer. I just don't think Toronto's going to pull it out. So I just think the Sixers, they're in their best interest to, throw the package out there and be like, hey, outside of James Harden, Joel Embiid, pick your players. Whatever players you want, as many as you want, they're yours. We will figure it out after that. I can see Daryl Morey doing that. And then, the Nets know, okay, at least we have this in our back pocket just in case, things fold. And then obviously the Celtics, if you can end up with Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and like 3 or 4 first-round picks, something like that is a really good place to be in. Maybe you convince the Celtics to move off of like a Derek White or like a Grant Williams. If that can happen, then beautiful. The Celtics would be in great position getting Kevin Durant. And if you're the Nets, now you're still competitive because you're a team that can't really tank. Houston owns all of your draft picks and they're all unprotected. So if you're the Nets, you're kind of stuck, right? You're kind of in this position where it's like, we have to remain competitive. We have to remain good. And a starting 5 of like Ben Simmons, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, say Claxton, and Seth Curry, that's a pretty good starting 5. You got shooting, you got defense, you got floor spacing, you got a little bit of everything. And then maybe if you're the Nets, you can even maybe flip Kyrie Irving to the Lakers for maybe like a Miles Turner or something along those lines, or maybe get another asset. Maybe you can go and talk to like the Utah Jazz and maybe get a couple pieces from them. Or maybe if you like some of the Knicks guys, maybe you could get something from them. Those teams might be willing to take on Westbrook just to clear out some cap space, buy them out. The options would be there if you're the Nets. But you'd have essentially this base route of Ben Simmons, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown, and then all of your shooting. You still have TJ Warren, you still have guys like Patty Mills, Joe Harris. So if you're the Nets, you're still in a really good position regardless. And I just think Boston has the best package to put together to acquire a Kevin Durant. They have the draft picks, they have the players, and they could give up enough to go get Kevin Durant and not have to blow up their whole team. They would still be incredibly stacked. You'd have, Time Lord, Robert Williams. You'd have, Jason Tatum. They just got Brogdon, which is huge. They got Gallo. If you can keep Grant Williams, you keep Grant Williams. Or if it's like, say, Derek White, you keep Derek White. You're still, 8 players deep, if not more. Al Horford. So you're in a great position. If you're the Boston Celtics, it makes sense to go get Kevin Durant. The question was, would Kevin Durant want to go to Boston? Would he buy in if he went to Boston? Would he, or would he get to Boston and just do what he's doing with the Brooklyn Nets? Because that's got to be a big concern. But according to reports, that Kevin Durant is willing to go to Boston. He would like to go to Boston as one of his destinations now. And so if he's willing to buy in, maybe that pushes the needle more for the Celtics to maybe push the chips in a little bit more. Okay, like we got our confirmation that Kevin Durant wants to be here, or at least play here, or give it a shot. Cool. The other thing is that the reason the Celtics are even willing to trade Jaylen Brown is the concern of him leaving after the following season, or requesting a trade then. Because Jaylen Brown, he is not going to sign an extension, because if he signs an extension, he actually leaves money on the table and loses money because of the way that extensions work and stuff. So if he actually becomes a free agent, he can get more money even from another team than he would for an extension. It's the same reason why San Antonio traded DeJounte Murray for basically peanuts, because they knew he was going to leave and he wasn't going to re-sign. And so they were like, we might as well just go full rebuild at this point. Now, obviously, the Celtics aren't in that position, so they need to get back something. And after this season, who knows if Kevin Durant is there? So if you can upgrade Jaylen Brown into Kevin Durant, you do it. Because at least Kevin Durant you have for 4 years, where Jaylen Brown you might only have for another year at the most, because he's going to want to be the number one guy. Teams can offer him a lot of money, and many teams would offer a lot of money for Jaylen Brown. So if Jaylen Brown goes to the Nets, now it's the Nets' problem. Let the Nets figure it out. Let the Nets deal with it. Maybe Jaylen Brown wants to stay with the Nets, and now because he's the number one guy, he can, work it out there. Where if you're Boston, you still have Jason Tatum, right? So he's never going to be the number one guy as long as Tatum is on that team. But on the Nets, he's the number one guy. And even if you go and get another star or something like that, it's very likely he's still the number one guy because that's his team now. He's the Nets. So I think the Celtics, however you look at it, that is the best destination for Kevin Durant. And I think that that's where he's going to go. But As always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think of Kevin Durant now putting out the Celtics and Sixers as the two destinations he'd be willing to go to? Again, I kind of feel like those are the only two options, and if you really want out, like, what else are you going to say, right? It's not like Kevin Durant has like 15 teams lining up to trade for him. It's kind of just boiled down to the Sixers and the Celtics. So it's like, yeah, you got to go to those teams. If you really want to be traded, these are your two options. So which one do you want to go to? And the Celtics were a team that Kevin Durant considered going to at some point. So that's something else to keep in mind that kind of makes sense in that connection. But what do you think of this whole mess? What do you think of all this drama? Do you think the Sixers actually have a chance to do it? What kind of package would you put together if you're the Sixers? I'd love to hear however you feel about it. I also do have a video breaking down the Sixers trade for Kevin Durant. I'll even link that down in the description below for all of you if you want to check that out. But again, these are my opinions. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. However you feel about it, whether you agree, disagree, whatever you think is going to happen, let me know down in the comment section. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.